Alrighty. Alright, well, we're going to get started here. My name is Korey Werk. We're going to dive into a little bit different approach on, we've been talking about trials, we've been talking about how do we use our information to make decisions, and I think the thing we want to get across is that we're under this digital transformation. Whether we like it or not, I think we all know that things are changing, and they have been changing, but the rate at which that change is happening, I think, is we're going to feel and experience way outside of our comfort zone than what we're used to. And so at a recent region meeting with Land O'Lakes, as the CEO of that board, I wrote down, I remember that feeling of get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. I know personally, it's just this summer, the feeling of uncomfortable as this whole industry changes, I think we're all feeling that. And especially as it relates to technology, I think we're going through these transitions together. So I think a lot of the things I'm going to highlight, you could wear the hat of a grower, or you could wear the hat of retail, where we're at on the service side, and see the challenges are very much the same. And so one of the things I recall a conversation, an early mentor of mine back in the insurance industry, he was a Marine, named Alex Arpin. We were having a conversation around change back then. I remember him telling me, in the war, to move at a speed that these wars required, we had to start redesigning structure, process, and communication strategy. Then work across these silos in order to sustain the fight against this decentralized enemy, and had to become agile. Eventually, the structure and process. We've been NeoQuest since 2014, I think. Most of a lot of these growers are here. And eventually, that structure and process transformation led to the mindset and culture change, as it does in any organization. And why? Is because that change occurs, towards the end of that cycle as that effort. So it becomes to get frustrating that some of these things, like Max and Zinc, we showed you in 2014 that it gave 5 bushel. There's $2 million in answer plot research against 5 bushel. We can do trials, but at some point we understand we're either going to put that product on or not. What else can we use this data for that changes something that I'm doing right now with some bigger numbers, and try to illustrate that. And I think this change in mindset is starting to happen just amongst ourselves. No? So like I mentioned, I think the generalities we can talk about as it applies, I'm going to look at both us as retail and you as growers, and is that in general I feel we're pretty illiterate. We're low digital literacy. By that I mean when we think of this digital world and how much it's changing, that the things we're talking about that we can do and could have done for the last numerous years is pretty elementary. It really is when it relates to other industries and how they use digital technology. So things like managing our costs, or we get this product paid, and this level of processing capabilities from a technology standpoint is pretty amateur, but we haven't been able to realize the things that we're going to see in the next 5-10 years, mainly due to unorganized information. It's just that understanding of needing help to why do I care that I label something in a monitor the same as what the co-op's outputting out. How does these naming and attributes, why does that matter? If I'm a grower, if I'm a retailer, I say, do you need a digital data strategy moving forward? And that's, I think we have to realize we do or we don't in order to engage in technology. And once we do, which I would assume most of the growers in this room, what would be a reason, anyone, that if I'm in the grower's shoes, that I want to have a digital record defending, or why would I want a digital record? What's a why that I would have needing to collect what I did at my field?
Eventually we're going to have to prove how much nitrogen we're putting on, or if by, say, Minnesota state law, they might say you can only put 100 pounds of nitrogen on, but if you can prove we're getting yields, and we're doing it sustainably, then we keep doing it at the rates we're doing it at, rather than being restricted by government regulation.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we look at dairy industry, we look at it, there's a lot of things that, here's what you're restricted to unless you can prove that what you're doing yields a different output. So maybe I can only put 150 pounds of nitrogen on, but what if I have an area that I put 300 pounds on because the soils are capable, the plants are capable, and my pounds of nitrogen per bushel were 20. So it's about being able to defend and document and understand what it is that, this digital record and footprint of defensibility. You mentioned, you spent some time out looking at what are these startup companies, or what are the consumers of tomorrow wanting? And they're wanting to know what went on their field. I want to know how many pounds of, I want to source what went on that field at Clem's house. And so I'm buying, the consumers want to be more aware. And that only happens through being able to document and defend what it is that you put on, through as-applies, through what happened in our field. And today, as an industry, we're getting a lot better, and I thought maybe it was surprising when you look at the entire industry. We're not alone in the mess, if you will, because I'd say here. Like, how many of you have more than one name or have had when we started this for the same field, or the co-op name did something else, or now it's, the data didn't get entered in one monitor. Any of this stuff sound familiar? And no one likes the technology, and I don't want to have to stop. My guys are sitting and type something in. So I need to know that I'm going to be forced to do this, and there's reasons, there's value, and we need to figure out how to extract that value. So try to give it, just think outside the box illustration. So let's just assume that we agree we need to have a digital data strategy as a grower and as a retailer if we can find that. And I'd say so how are we going to do that? Step one would be to identify what those, what are those objectives? What do I want? What do I want to improve on my operation that's on the farm? And then how would I use digital for that? So let's say, maybe I want to manage the bottom 20%, the lowest producing parts of my operation, my lowest performing 20%. Maybe that's an imperative I want in my operation. Now, how do I use digital technology to help me accommodate that? Or maybe it's, what's the first thing I need to do? Everyone's at a different spot, so it's identifying that. Maybe I need to have some upgrades on the planter so I know I'm taking away variability that could exist within that field. Maybe it's unique to your operation, but I think that's part of this discovery together through a service like this, and for us is figuring out where are you at as a grower, and where do we need, how do we take those steps? Where do you want to get to? And then let's put some metrics on that. So, okay, we wanted to manage our bottom 20% performing. How do we do that, and how can I measure for myself that I'm on track to accomplish that? And put a way to analyze for yourself, how am I doing? And it's kind of building your plan up. We have the luxury in something like this peer network, groups like yourselves. How did that 2020 work? Do you like that? Or this variable rate stuff, has that been paying in your farm? So you get fungicides last year, 1 year paid, or here we've done zinc again keeps paying, or we've done this, or tissue sampling. Maybe there's some bigger things, or maybe we can talk. We have some social, the ability now through social media and online et cetera, so maybe there's some group forums, some things that we have the ability amongst our peers to find out what's working and kind of grow as a community. As one grows and we learn, we all grow. We could benchmark our growth as a group here compared to the county average, if we ran that. We're out indexing, performance. There's just a lot of things we could do when you have a group of individuals that are trying to learn from each other and buy stuff. So, and then kind of exposed to how digital customers give some other experience. Everyone's, I'm sure, had, if you name the ones where we do partners, it isn't about any one of these. It's how do I help understand what's of value to you, the customer. And we have things with Farm Mobile. We're in a pilot. We're in 10% the top producing co-ops in the country. We're on a pilot of 1 of 4 in the country on retail with Climate Corporation, where we work with Premier Crop, TKXS, and this stuff gets a little, there's all these different partners, but that's what gives us, if it's customer centric and we know like what are your needs, how are we going to help get you, not every tool can do everything. So figuring that out. And then how do we, the last part is, how do we foster engagement? How do we get you to do something, to engage, to take action? I learned that variable rate pays, and it paid this much, and it did last year. Maybe I should apply that to all my acres. Or how do we take that next step to make sure that we're going back to step 1 and being able to identify I want to manage my 20%. How do I do that? We got to engage. So the same things would hold true, let's say, on retail, right? It's what are our strategic objectives? We need to be able to get as applied data to customers that's coming from our system so that our applicators don't have to type information. And then we have a scalable system that is attributed accurately so that our data is quality, so that now you can sell it and that we can make decisions. That would be one on the retail side. So we all have the same challenge of what do we need to do as a business and what's our next step? What I was going to say here, I just want to go back one side. When I said, like, as an industry, we've been conditioned to be pretty risk adverse, I'd say, to spending money or investing in things around technology, right? So, I don't know, Clem could be hey, that corn looks like it needs nitrogen, right? And Dean, I don't know, it looks like it needs some nitrogen. It's we could secure a sale on $20 an acre on a side-by nitrogen application because we think. Let's just say that this is happening. We think you need some nitrogen. So you're willing to invest $20,000 without looking at any analytics, but you know from years' experience that you could probably get a return. But yet I'm not going to spend $500 to update an iPad, or I'm not going to do something that's telling us the insights that we've already had. Right? So sometimes it's putting things in scale that, is this important if I know the technology and I'm making decisions and there's an end and goal that you can put, maybe that's one of your imperatives. I need to invest so much per year to just keep up to date. So I was going to try to have a survey with you. I wasn't able to get live here, but part of the discovery when we work with you growers, everyone's in a little different spot of where they see value. But I bet if we were to say of these right now as we went through, what would be the most valuable? Is it knowing where you're profitable and where you're not? We're going to dive into that cost analysis. We mentioned benchmarking. Maybe you benchmark your profitability against your neighbors. So that's accounting for the difference of land prices, difference of geography. It's here's how profitable I am. I think that'd be good to know. The data collection, the data organization. These are all different things, and depending on where stage you're at, some may have more value in your operation than others. But coming into this pricing, I would sure think the cost analysis and profitability is pretty high on growers' minds. I guess everyone agree with that? And just want to highlight a little bit what we can do. Try like thinking outside the box here on, again, we can go through trial data, we can go through things that we did last year, and then let's try to replicate and learn something next year. But what if we just play with some real numbers that we have and really look at, we're focusing on $5 an acre things, or maybe there's $100 an acre decisions plus on the table. So I'm going to look at 3 different fields here. It's about 200 acres, 192. Just pulled up 3 that we had been doing some cost analysis on. And just kind of want to show you. So, okay, we've seen the cost analysis reports out of some of the reports we get each year. And they're usually standardized, your top 10%, your next 20, 20, 20, bottom 10. But that doesn't always, red isn't always red on those reports. So I wanted to look, when we had Todd, our GS, specialist here is that let's take this is cost per bushel based on, let's assume $3.50 an acre was what you're selling your corn. So these are 3 different fields. 43% of those fields we lost money on. So in yellow here, I went from 350 to 450. Maybe you're a great marketer and you're still selling 450 corn from when you contracted years ago. I would venture some of that stuff's that number's lower now. But just to look at, you drove across, 43% of the acres that you were not profitable on. So we can talk theories on others, we can talk whatever, but we know what you did on every pixel of that field, and we know the costs associated with that if we get the information. It isn't a system that does it, it's a partnership on what information you want here. It's not your accounting system. We can put any numbers you want, but just as a way to know, I would want to know, hey, Mike, doesn't take Morris math right book can tell me that if I'm at $20 an acre on corn and I'm selling for $3.50, that's not a very good thing. So we have information like this that's right in front of our face, right? So in that particular case, the average, the cost per bushel was $4.10. It was 190 bushel average, so at 60 cents over your break even, you lost $21,000 on that 200 acres. Okay? These are the 3 fields individually. This one, maybe I don't farm it. I don't know, 57 acres, 61% of that field was over. Made no money on this one. Looks like an irrigated dryland corners. We can lower the population, we can do whatever, but if I'm not going to make money, maybe I start thinking, I don't know what the answer might be. Maybe it's tile. You usually know as the grower. Why is that red? Well, it's dryland corners, or it's tile, or who knows, right? Maybe it's rented though, and I can't put tile in there. Or until I tile, maybe I don't put as many pounds in acre. It's kind of simple insights.